All right, we're back. So today, well, let's start with the new stuff first. This old, we don't need this much anymore. New flavor for all the. Okay, I don't think we need these anymore. So let's address the new stuff again, and then talk about uh, setting elements. So the first new thing I thought of in between now and last stream were data-related abilities. So in a game about gathering data, I mean, probably there's going to be abilities that help do that. So, for example, increasing the player's vision. So, when you cast it, it sheds a light, which lets the player see more enemies. All right, and I was going to include uh, this observation mechanic, wherein uh, so let's go to an observation mechanic. I think that's going to be in data mechanics here. Observation. And to make it easier to read, let's just put it to the next page. So basically, the player passively gathers data they are, whenever an any enemy passively gathers data, not whenever, on all enemies they can see on screen. The data gathering from observation is faster when the player is closer, has better vision. Uh, the closer is both distance and height slash look direction angle. Now, the look direction angle is technically always going to be forward, upward, downward only, and no diagonals. Uh, because there's no aiming mechanic, and if you try to aim diagonally, then it will cause the player to move forward, and probably you don't want to reveal your position when moving forward when simply trying to observe. So basically, the only control the player has is their positioning. So now that we have this observation mechanic, back to the data gathering abilities. So for now, I only mostly have vision and substance. So this substance stuff like the DNA and qualities can be gathered. Substance data is gathered via melee attacks. I think that makes sense when you're a scientist gathering DNA or like substance material or specimen from a monster that you're studying, you would have to get your hands dirty basically. So that's one of the new things I wanted to add to abilities to have some parts of the abilities tie in more with the data mechanic. And the other one is duo player character. So uh, I wanted the player character to have lots of abilities equipped at all times. Not and then of course slowly building up to it throughout the game. So you don't start with all 8 abilities, but you start with like one, and then after the first tutorial boss, you get your second ability, and yeah. So the balance of the execution of it, I'll handle later on. But in terms of the final product on the like what the character gets to be, I wanted at least 8 abilities, but split into 2 different modes or characters. That way, it's not overwhelming that the player has what 8 things to think about at all times. Although technically they still do because swapping is I want swapping to be super easy so that you can combo abilities from both characters together. Um, and yeah, so two characters inhabiting the same body, and you just swap. There's probably a button, or either I make it a button or I make it some interaction between the attacks and abilities, or with the moving direction, whatever. It could be like downward blocking changes form or stuff like that. So one of the forms for now is that scientist character who I'm going to just make the light version, so there's more contrast. They are basically the way they work is they just gather items and they equip them on their body. So they're usually armor pieces or machine attachments, and those equipments basically change the light change the character's stats and the characters and the four abilities on the scientist character or like the light form. So maybe I should detail this to light form slash scientist character. And one more note, uh, character only has one set of stats. Basically, stats don't change when swapping. Only castable abilities do. So I didn't want it to be that. Uh, what? I didn't want it to be to have so much change whenever the character swaps form. Just that. Just the castable abilities, and then the dark spirit character. So it's like this sort of here runes card ghost. It's more focused on the magic of the alien god. So magic or slash mutation, I guess. Mutations. So this is where if you perform the rituals accurately based on the data you've gathered, or just out of luck while playing the game, then you get to you get active runes, and the runes are what define what abilities the dark slash spirit character can cast. Excuse me. So, um, and then basically, if the player has more than four successful rituals or active runes at the same time, then the player may choose which four to equip during the rest at the checkpoint, which is basically a bonfire from Dark Souls, but because enemies respawn whenever you rest and a lot of stuff. But yeah. Oh, and one more point: runes stay active. Uh, uh, technically stay active. Technically stay active permanently as long as the player doesn't break any of its rules. Different runes have different rules for maintaining their being active. So I didn't want to have to like make it duration based or something like that where the player has to reactivate it by doing the ritual again or something because I feel like that would just be causing the player to do the same thing over and over again, and we don't want the gameplay to be repetitive. So rather than a do something to get something for maintenance, it's more like a don't do something to maintain it. So it still requires thinking on the player's part to sort of be aware, but at least it doesn't require the player to waste their time and effort doing the things they already did before. It lets them focus on what they really want to do. So that's the dark side spirit character, and yeah. Uh, what? How else would I uh, sort of tie in the need for a duo player character to with a uh, with a let's say with the abilities or the data? Hmm, 'cause technically, both can observe. I guess it's just in the abilities then, because probably all the data gathering abilities are on the scientist, and then all the more powerful caster type abilities are on the ghost. All right. Player. Do they have an inventory? Has very limited inventory uh for stuff they can carry but not equip. Basically, at one slot at the start of the game. This is basically when the player gets a new ability, or not really, in the form of the scientist ability, then it's like getting a new equipment because the ability is attached to the equipment. So the player can only carry one extra equipment that they are not equipping at any time, and then they basically have to bring it home to the checkpoint or any checkpoint really, and then store it there. Although there are technically different kinds of checkpoints. Like I want to have a checkpoint where you can't save and rest, but you can store stuff. So it's like a storage checkpoint. And then there's a different kind of checkpoint where you can save and rest, but you can't store equipment. And then there's one that's both. So yeah, modularly changing the checkpoints. In fact, I should probably put that in the world elements here. So uh, different kinds of checkpoints. Storage checkpoints. This should be equipment. Storage checkpoints. Ritual checkpoints. Resting checkpoints. And any combination of the above. Also, I can delete this now and this. All right, so excuse me. What did we want to do next? I think we start fleshing out or brainstorming ideas for fleshed out versions of these in the setting elements since we didn't get to do that yesterday. For the economy, so I'm gonna have to think of the live, the jobs, like the regular jobs, not really regular, just all the jobs slash livelihoods of uh the people, or italicized humans, since we wanted a different race. And let's capitalize that first letter for OCD's sake. Uh, you have to detail the trade or all data, economic data interactions. So we have buy, sell, trade, gift, oops, gift. Uh, and then uh, so those are the interactions, and now what are the jobs? Well, probably we have gatherers, and then we have data merchants. People gathering the data, people uh, trading or manipulating the data. And in the gatherers, there are probably monster scientists, there are hackers, what else? Explorers. Uh, so monster scientists basically biologists, technically, right? Yeah, let's put it as biologists. Biologists, hackers, explorers. Um, Technically, under biologist is zoologist and botanist, but I don't think I want to get super nerd sciencey. In data merchants are probably data traders, data like stores, uh, data transporters or deliverers or like data the what do you call it? I'll just leave it at transporters for now. Traders, data stores. I think I should make traders the same as stores, but I'll make this more like data storage. Data traders, data storage, data transporters slash communicators. I don't want like Wi-Fi or basically broadcasting signals to be super strong here because I want things to be more separated and not that uh, interconnected, so that every new region has a new sort of feel to it. Like if you can access data from anywhere at any time, then everywhere starts feeling the same. So tying in of mechanics to each other is not necessarily always a good thing. Um, you just have to be really know what the effect of tying a mechanic with other mechanics does and what the effect of separating it does. So separating it here, I think, will make it by making there not be a technically there not being an internet. To me, things would create more varied level design and region design, which is why I'm doing it. So that's the economy for there. Now we can go more like in depth or specific by fleshing out like, is there a faction of biologists or is it a regular job? Is it a I should probably put it in the jobs. Um, job the specific job implementation types. So are we making it a mundane job or is it an elite job or is it a faction and slash s? Um, is it a sort of independent? Is this independent slash individual job? So basically, people don't really gather together to do it; they just do it on their own. Uh, People can do freelance basically. There we go. Oops. Uh, Freelance. Mm, what else? I think I will separate this out. So the job implementation types and then uh, factions for each job. So there. Before I do that though, I want to go to the next buy, sell, trade, gift. I think that's fine. What else do we want to flesh out? How long have we been streaming actually? We've been streaming for 22 minutes and I have dropped very few frames. Wow, 2.6% only. We're very stable for once. And oops. I want to see. Okay, currently one viewer. Oh, that's fine. I'm recording anyway, huh? Oh, okay now. So now we want to detail the alien colonization. I'm not sure we want to do this. Combat power. Well, technically, combat power is the abilities. So we have the mutations, which are the blessings from the rituals, and then the advanced technology. We kind of detailed what the abilities are and can do, not their fleshed out like names and like lore, but just their general what they can do. And uh, probably I should put here there's combat, and then there's data gathering abilities under the advanced technology. The mutations, there's only combat. I'm not sure if I even need to specify this, but I'll just specify it for now. Um, I guess we can start thinking about the gods. I mean, this is a brainstorm. I don't have to be so iffy about what to generate. So I'm going to go to my trusty free online random generator. Um, let's see. This is called fantasy name generators, as you can probably see there. Really like the site. I'm not sponsored by any means because just started, but yeah, it has like literally what 1,300. Yep, 1,300 generators. So let's see. Uh, I want a. Are there god names here? Mm, Here, god and goddess names. Oh, these are more Greek though. They're not really alien or like Cthulhu Lovecraftian-esque. Is there a Lovecraftian names here? Not quite. I do know there is a alien here alien names. Hmm. Hydras are a more guttural sound, ideal for the stronger and brutish looking aliens. Have a more melodic sound, making them ideal for softer and gentler aliens. Both guttural and melodic, more randomized. Okay. Hmm. I guess instead of like this stuff, we should probably generate what the gods are about instead rather than their name. So let's see. Is there a sort of pantheon generator here? Pathfinder. Oh, interesting. Uh, oops. Uh, Not here. Wow, there's a Wakafu. Wow. Throne of Glass. Holy crap. Uh, hmm. Are there gods here? No. How about Dungeons and Dragons? Here. Are there gods here? I'm not sure, to be honest. Any gods? Hello? Danganronpa Ultimates. Probably not here then. Maybe, oh, maybe in descriptor generator? Alien race. Hmm. Angel. Close. Oh, here, god descriptions. Hmm. Dominant atmosphere. Oh, here, so life, mountain, and light. Extreme and irrational. Ah, okay. Mountain scholars. Scene. Oh, this is all for this one god. Okay. Which doesn't affect the power, but united lovers stand strong together. Interesting. Ah, sounds too human. So maybe we'll go with the animal slash hybrid description. Prosperity, honor, and silver. Mm, let's read the description actually. This description will generate a fairly random description of a god or goddess and the various elements that come with it. Very in-depth religious elements have been kept out as it's more about the deities themselves than the religions behind them. Yep. I've included two types of descriptions, although the difference between each is minimal. The first is the human description, which, as you may have guessed, will describe the gods as humans. You'll get some physical and personality based descriptions. Second are the animal and hybrid exoplanets. The only real difference is that you'll be given gods that are depicted either as animals or animal-human hybrids. Think of the Egyptian gods, for example. I figured it'd be easier if these were separated despite their minor differences. Depending on which kinds of gods you're going for, you'll now be able to quickly create a list of more specific types fairly easily. To start, simply click on the button. Yeah. So I don't think I want a god about these dominant elements, so let's make a new one. Shadows and Destiny, Shadows and Sleep. Oh shit. I like this boy. Vows and chants. Oh, there's the ritual type. Oh, small shrines and preferred levels. Quite numerous. Hmm. These only have scopers the power. The levels can become rivals too. Okay. Highly favored and much admired god. Will I have any admired gods in among the alien gods, or are they all? Because they're technically all colonizers. Well, I guess I could have like a brainwashed set of human, like as a brainwashed faction, which uh which adores this specific alien god. Mm, but since it's about Destiny, Shadows, and Sleep, effective and methodical. Do I want all of these? Maybe I don't want Destiny. I only want Shadows and Sleep. Okay, let's write that down then. Initialization. So let's make a pantheon. Mostly hidden from the players at first. So we have, what was that guy's name? Toeyr? Sounds weird. Toyr. Did I spell it right? Do I want to spell it right? I think it's fine. God of Shadows and Sleep. I'm gonna keep it genderless mostly because the less it can relate to humans, the better, I guess. I mean, there are genderless humans, but more like, it's non-human kind of gender. So it's a monstrous god, since most of these are uh, monstrous gods. So I should put it here. Actually, I should transfer this description to be a standalone description since I did say I should stop using these parentheses and keep them all as actual bullet points to make it clearer. Pantheon is mostly hidden. Pantheon is made up of monstrous, unfathomable aliens. This Lovecraftian aliens. This is just for, again, this is just for the game developers to know, not for the players to know. The players might see the aliens and think, oh, they're regular aliens or whatever. But uh, even though they're meant to be Lovecraftian, because we part of something I learned about Lovecraftian is if you sort of advertise your game as a Lovecraftian game, a lot of the elements of Lovecraftian literature or like stories gets swept under the rug because it's all about the unknown. That's why Bloodborne sort of did it so well because it just advertised itself as a sort of vampires and werewolves game. And then halfway throughout, you start seeing all these alien looking otherworldly creatures, and that had such a cool effect on the player. If you know what Bloodborne is, one of the Souls-like games. Uh, so yeah, this is what the Pantheon is made up of. Uh, who speak alien languages. Mostly unknowable, but partially learnable alien languages. So this is where the rituals come in. If you gain enough data on the rituals, then you can sort of communicate with them through the rituals. Players can eventually somewhat communicate and interact with them via the rituals. God of Shadows of Sleep and Sleep. I should make that. Should I make that? I think I should make that actually a side sort of thing. So it's not just these random names. I could actually see what they're about when I'm looking at them in list form. So how would we describe him? Well, it said reflective and methodical. Reflective and methodical. How would we translate that to game mechanics? Since it's what it's about, like we're trying to generate game mechanics, make narrative out of them, and then make more game mechanics out of the narrative that we generate. It's like a back and forth sort of approach. To eventually flesh everything out and make like everything not fully interconnected, but interconnected in ways that make sense. So, what would the rituals reward, and what would shadows and sleep? Well, probably actually, what shadows remind me of is well invisibility and with abilities, and then what sleep reminds me of is a status. Like sleep, when you're asleep, you're technically stunned. So what if you make him rewards mobility and disable disabling or disable wait status abilities, mobility and status abilities, and then rituals require what do they require? Actually, I want to see. Small shrines and handheld symbols, all sorts of places, quite numerous. Advisors and fighters, and vows and chants. I think the rituals would require a sort of faction alliance. So, alliance with a large faction. Uh, basically, okay, not parenthesis. A faction is a cult which was brainwashed. A cult of, wait lang, let's add this part. Brainwashed add to actually admire the alien god and enjoy rituals for it. So now, what are the actual rituals? Rituals require alliance, and then the actual rituals are vows and chants. I don't want to make a mechanic like an actual like vow enchanting button. That's way too uh, different from basic combat. Uh, so if I'm imagining the player or the gameplay, the player just went on an adventure and then they finally found a ritual checkpoint. So now they're going to refresh their abilities and see if they get any new ones based on what they did and based on the data about the rituals that they've gathered. Uh, hmm. Let's see. Well, let's brainstorm. Actually, is there a ritual descriptor generator? This one, no, we don't. Actually, this is more visual. So I guess this is like how I can use to describe the god itself in terms of visuals, aesthetic, and maybe even parts of these can turn into combat mechanics. So like this rainbow sort of becomes a particle effect and like AoE attack. But I'll since it says it's a shockwave, but I'll leave it past for now. This it technically says what the gods are about. In this one, I guess I'll skip that. I think I'm going to look for more description generators on rituals, prophecy, plot, religion. Religion is kind of close. Spell descriptions. There might be something there. Tradition is kind of close. So we have religion, spell, tradition, prophecy might be similar to a ritual. Hand gesture. It's pretty close. Although that's not really an action that I want the player to do now that I think about it. Dine description. That's an interesting description. Farm, flag. Lots of clothings, character descriptions. Army, armor. Alien race descriptions? Nah. Uh, excuse me. So let's start with all of these. So, um, attempting to reach enlightenment and visits to spiritual places. Ah, lessons passed down the generations, usually by said enlightened people. Music, clothing, and temples. It is, huh. So do I want the player, because I think I can translate this to game mechanics. Basically, shadows and sleep. So it'll be like this sort of shadowy temple. The player basically has to go to the shadowy temple and then basically find and observe the faction itself and interact with them. And so if they're able to do that, like the shadow temple is probably dangerous and stuff, and hidden, then they'll be able to in the next rest activate the rune or uh, kinda like that. So let's go here. Ritual requirements. So let's transfer the alliance requirement down here and then simplify it to just alliance with a large cult. Shadow temple visit. Hidden difficult level or like region, more like, since we're not really a level system where you go from one level to another, but more like region things that you can visit anytime you want or anytime you could reach it, and then you can backtrack and stuff. And other requirements: observing and interacting with the cult members. Actually, I'm more interested in observing. Like, what if the cult is there are two kinds of cult members? Uh, so let's put it here. Uh, let's say it has a cult faction. So, and then we simplify this to humans which were brainwashed to actually admire the alien god and enjoy rituals for it. And then so they're the humans, and then they're the let's put it as temporary again, monsters. So we'll detail what the monsters are later on, which were trained and basically. Wait, am I gonna make this a song or a shadow? Shadows and sleep. Well, sleep kind of reminds me of music. I'm not sure I want music. This guy to be the god of shadow, sleep, and music. Unless I make music be a thing that multiple gods can do. Yeah, I think I'll make music be a thing multiple gods can do. So, um, general modifiers of all gods. One is music. Two is, I guess, visuals like animations, so hologram movies. But I'll leave it the music for now. So monsters which were trained and tortured to uh, endlessly sing the songs of the god in the shadows. They were let loose in the shadow temple and surrounding world regions in order to spread the brainwash. Brainwash, get your brainwash here, lol. Um, player, whoops. So player, wait, that's not here. It's all the way in virtual fragments. Player must observe. Uh, so alliance with large god shadow temple. I should make this more verb oriented. Visit the shadow temple. I'll make this control fine. Shadow temple. Let's replace it with. I can't replace the italicized apparently. So I'll just highlight it and then I can basically select it and then italicize it myself so that we come up with an actual name for it later. So what are the temporary things? So we have to name the humans, we have to name the monsters, we have to name the shadow temple. Not just name, by the way. This more fleshing out. We have to flesh out what they are, what they can do. So what are their abilities, and what are their relations with the other entities in the game, and whatnot. So all part of the long road of world building. So alliance with large god, visit Shadow Temple. Player must also observe the monsters sing without getting this, uh I'll just put it as uh too much observation causes sanity damage. So I need to figure out the mechanic for this because this is something I think I want. So either the player literally takes damage or the player gains curses or whatever. But yeah, uh, this should be too much observation, too much uninterrupted observation causes that. Uh, However, spending too long in between looking will in between observing will slow down or stop the process. So therefore, there's an observation status bar which rises when observing and slowly falls when hide when protecting one's vision slash hearing technically. uh I should change this to there. So it's a balance. Players must balance this out, and then once they do that, then they'll be able to get the abilities in the check with the ritual checkpoint. So that was a cool first god, I think. We haven't detailed what the monsters can do yet. We haven't detailed what the humans can do yet, or what data they might have. We haven't detailed what the Shadow Temple's name and location is on the map yet, like on the world map. Uh, how long have you been going? You've been going for 45 minutes, although I'm kinda tired and would like to. Hmm. I think we'll stop there for now. We'll generate more gods and more game entities in another stream slash video. But I need to prepare for lunch and getting on with my day. We're gonna have another game jam in my old classmate's house, condo, which would be fun. And I gotta get a haircut. So I'll be back. Tomorrow's a Sunday. I can technically be back tomorrow. Actually, I literally don't have. Oh wait, no, I'll be coming from the house or the condo because of the overnight. So there's a chance tomorrow night that I'll stream uh, about more of this. So, see you there, I guess. Thanks for watching.